Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Little, and you're listening to the Filmmaking Friends podcast, episode number 8. Today we're hanging out with full-time filmmaker, music video director, and good friend Mr. COLE WALLISER. Yep, it's another Canadian filmmaker on the podcast. He's going to give us a little look behind the curtain, tell you what it's like to work with such artists as Pink, Katy Perry, and LAURA MARANO. Enjoy the episode. You and I are both from Canada.
We are, indeed.
And we're not just both from Canada, we're both from Vancouver.
Yes.
And not only are we both from Vancouver, we are both Canadian filmmakers from Vancouver who live in LA and work in LA.
Yeah, it was quite an astonishment when I sort of met you and realized all of those facts. I was like, oh, this guy is like doing the same thing as me.
Well, and the other crazy thing is we both grew up skateboarding.
Yeah. That's how I started filmmaking through skateboarding.
Right. Shooting other people's things. Well, at that time when you were skateboarding, what were you shooting on? What? Because you probably didn't have an iPhone at that point.
Oh, High 8. First High 8. Yeah.
High 8.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the dream was the Sony like VX 2000 or
something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you started on High 8, and then what were you editing on? I know Premiere was around then.
Ooh, I didn't
or
start.
Maybe it wasn't quite around yet.
Yeah. I was doing tape to tape.
Tape to tape.
Yeah, two VCRs. Actually, the very first thing I started filming, which were actually on YouTube, I would go to my friend's cabin up in the coast of BC, and his mom would have a video camera, and she'd film us jumping off cliffs and wakeboarding, and I'd take all that footage and edit together like an epic video with music. Yeah. That was actually how I first got my start, and that was like VHS-C or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then so that's why I did tape to tape. And then I'm trying to think with High 8 and Digital 8, I mean, I must have been on a computer.
Yeah.
But I think the next step I really got was a Panasonic DVX100. Right. And I bought a Mac.
That would be Mini DV at that, right?
Mini DV, yeah. And then I started cutting on Final Cut 4.
Oh, Final Cut 4, yeah.
Like Final Cut 4 just came out. Like,
yeah.
It was the cutting edge technology.
That's funny. The first thing I ever shot was on High 8. I was at our family cabin, and me and my cousins, we did Indiana Jones and the Golden Horseshoe. And we did this whole thing. And there was a plug in the High 8 camera where you could use your little tape deck and play music.
Oh, wow, okay.
And you could split the audio between like what the people were saying and music. Yeah. And the only thing we had for some dumb reason was a soundtrack to Man from Snowy River. Is that right? Is that right? Is that what it's called? And so we did Indiana Jones, but we didn't have the right soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So I would get the shot that we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to roll the camera, and then I'm going to push play. And so the music would... And
you have to do it live.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of
I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you.
That.
You're going to laugh. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I think I was like, I don't know, like 14 or something.
Oh, wow.
Like
That's
that.
amazing, because I didn't really realize that you could actually be a filmmaker until I was in college. That was a decision in college. I was like, oh, you can do this for a living.
Yeah.
I just loved making stuff. I always made, short films. And with the videos of my buddies up on the coast, we'd film stuff and I'd edit stuff and we did little funny shorts. But it was just like, I was like, oh, I like making stuff. I like shooting stuff. This is cool. And even with skateboarding videos, it was just like, I like making stuff. This is cool. But it was never a career path. I was in college getting a degree in psych. And that's when I bought the DVX. That's when I started editing more and like doing
Still skateboarding, right?
At that point, no. I sort of stopped. I started dancing more. I started b-boying and breaking.
Right, yeah.
So I sort of made a transition in like 99, 2000 to start dancing. Yeah. So I started dancing more and filming dance shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. So tell me when the first opportunity to direct comes for you in the music video world.
Yeah, I mean, the first chance to do like a substantial thing was really with Pink. I mean, she gave me my opportunity, So I was doing BTS for her. And actually, a point I always try to make, too, was the reason why I got the job doing BTS for Pink was because I was doing it for free to start. I offered... So my friends were choreographing for her. It was a really big job for them. They wanted some rehearsal footage, so they asked me to come shoot for free. Mm-hmm. And I think that, there's a precarious balance in between doing free gigs and then not, doing stuff for exposure and then not. And I think that there's value in saying no. There's a ton of value in saying no, but there's also value in saying yes to do some certain things for free. Yeah. So that was a thing that I decided to go, okay, obviously I'm going to come shoot you and Pink / her name's Alicia. So you and Alicia working together. So I did that. I met the tour director and then they hired me to do some BTS. Yeah. So that's sort of how I got in. And I think it's just important to note that I was willing to do a job for free, and that's what kind of started my career,
Yeah.
And so in that I met all the people. and they needed an opening video directed for her Funhouse World tour. And so they had another director attached, and his budget was like going through the roof, you know. And so they asked me. I'd done some stuff before. I sent them my reel, and it was just like these tiny things, you know, whatever I could muster at the time, right?
Whatever was close to what they were looking for, right? Yeah. Sample stuff.
Yeah, totally. And then so they gave me the opportunity to direct it, and it was like that I think was like my first big job that was substantial, that had a crew, you know, that had a platform to be seen. I mean, that show
by millions of people.
Yeah, that show toured the world like twice over, and it was the thing that played at the start of the whole show off. Yeah. You know, so that was a really cool thing, and she gave me my chance. You know what I mean? Like, I was a kid with a camera, you know, and she you know, said, okay, yeah, you can direct the first thing that everybody sees from my world tour. Like, I think that's it's a bit of a risk for her. Like, you know, I'm sort of unproven, but then we had a great relationship, you know, and I went on to do, you know, documentary of her on the road and other music videos for her. And so her career over a couple albums was like synonymous with my career path, because I was doing a lot of content for her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a big part of your opportunity. That she took a chance on you, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from there, that's how I actually ended up working with Katy Perry, because the Funhouse tour was like a really big tour, and I think Katy loved it. She hired the same tour director, and he brought me on to do her content. And then then after that, it was like, oh, you have Pink and Katy Perry on your reel. You've directed stuff for them. You know, you've created these like almost short films that play during their concerts that are playing around the world. It was like a good stamp of approval. Yeah. And sort of like gave me a lot of confidence in even going in meetings. Like, I'm like, oh, I've done something now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which I think really helps.
Okay, so every music video is different. I get it. A concert music video is different than, say, one that has a narrative, or one that's just like, for lack of a better description, a video party. You know, where someone's just singing a video. Yeah, like a performance video. Yeah. Do you ever, in the process of preparing for, I just want to see what the parallels are like.
Sure. Yeah.
When you're going to do a music video like that, how much prep time do you usually get? What's the kind of the standard for a music video?
It's really tough. I mean, I did a video this summer for this girl Lauren Gray, who's on Capitol. She's huge on social, right? Yeah. And we had a week. Like, we got awarded the job a week before the first shoot day, and it was like a 3-day shoot. Okay. So it was like, that was mayhem. You know what I mean? For Pink, when I did her music videos, I mean, it's been a few years now. I don't really remember. We definitely scouted. We had like, because it was all this carnival themed stuff. Sure. So it was like, we did 4 music videos that were all themed within a carnival setting. So there was like, she was the carnival ringleader. She was a bearded lady. She was a giant and fell in love with a tiny person. Yeah. And then, there was a beach ball one that needed to be tied in with her show. But like, so we scouted for that. But I don't really remember how much time. But it's like, I think the commonality is that there's never enough time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, sure, there never is.
You're always like short, but I think it spans. I don't think I've ever had a month, you know? So it's like I have a week or like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, you know, like if I have 2.5 weeks, I feel comfortable. If I have a week, I'm just like, oh geez, like shut everything off and like just do this.
So I've done a few commercials, and with commercials, what they do is, so let's say you're gonna do a commercial in 2 days, and they say, I'm gonna make up a rate, because depending on the budget, it could be anything. But let's just say they say, we're gonna pay you to do this commercial. It's a 2-day shoot. We'll pay you $10,000 per day. That's $20,000 for the commercial. What that does not include is the prep time or the post time. But they assume that you'll do some of it. You'll get it. You'll prep it. So you may prep for a week, shoot for 2 days, and do post, say, on a commercial, a lot of times you just hand it over to the agency and you actually don't do any of the post. But sometimes they let you be involved. But so you might be getting paid $20,000, say, for a smaller commercial, and actually be putting 2 weeks of work into it. But in their minds, you're technically getting paid for the 2 shoot days. Is the mindset the same with music videos, where you're getting paid for the shoot days, but that's also including your prep?
Way worse.
But way worse.
Oh yeah, way worse.
Okay.
Because, so I mean, you can, I feel like you can orchestrate your rate for like however you want to list a prep day, list a prep day, right? Yeah. But I think the thing about it though is that you are so much more involved with the production on a commercial shoot, like you're driving creative. Like you get hired because like the way it works for a music video is that a label will have an artist they want to do a music video for.
Right.
So they reach out to production companies and say, hey, it's like this kind of thing. Let's say it's like beauty, female-driven pop star. And it's like, okay, Cole's done a bunch of that stuff, so let's get him to write on it.
Right.
So I'll hear the song, I'll get a budget outline, and then I write a treatment. They look at all
your pitch of it.
Yeah,
right?
my pitch. So sometimes they'll give you some direction like, oh, we want it to be a love story, we want only performance, or like we want her to wear red shoes. Like you have no idea. They just
They give you their specifics.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, most of the time, and it'll be anywhere from like a paragraph to like a one-line thing, and it's your job to come up with a cool creative, right?
Yeah.
So you pitch your idea, they think your idea is the best, and they hire you for the job. Like
Makes
fingers
sense.
crossed, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So, but the thing about that though is that in the prep, it's like everything is up to you. Like you're deciding on everything, so the prep is so much more involved. When you're doing a commercial, you know, it's like you're working with the agency. They've already pitched the client on the idea. They've already sold the client on the idea. So it's like your job to interpret that and like functionally make that happen, execute it.
Yeah, execute their vision of what they created.
And like, yes, they're hiring you because they want you to participate and like for your creative vision and your execution as a director. But you don't have as much. You're not making as many decisions because it's like this is the idea, this is the spot, make it happen. Like how can you add to it? Like make it happen. With the music video, it's just like everything is on you. You know?
Okay.
And so, I mean, the artists will have ideas, of course, and,
sure.
And then the label and the commissioner come in with ideas, right? But it's like you're really the driving force.
Okay.
So you're a lot more involved in prep. It's a lot more in depth, and then you are in charge in post too. It's like you do the edit, you sit through everything, you approve everything, and then you hand it off. So it's like for a music video, it's like a month of work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're 2 weeks prep, you shoot, and you're like 2 weeks, 3 weeks in post. You know?
Yeah.
And then you have your. I mean, you can break it up however you want, but it's like, it's essentially one shoot day, you know?
Yeah.
And so with music videos now, it's like the days of those being 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, or even like 1 million, back in the day, those are gone, you know? So there's like a lot of videos for starting artists, like 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes into doing prep and post and production and feeding it, it's just like there's not really much money left, for you to make anything on. Yeah. And I think that's like, I did a bunch earlier in my career and they were awesome. And I think music videos are a great place to play because it's like because you have creative control and because you can like pitch crazy ideas. Yeah. It's really a cool place to just try stuff out and like explore your taste as a director. Because I think that if you started off with commercials, it's like you're just executing the agency's idea. And while that's a skill and a valuable one, I don't think it lets you explore as much your own personal kind of a vision.
I think there's more creative restriction in commercials.
Oh, definitely.
And certainly when you finish the shoot and they say, thank you very much for your work, Cole, and then you don't see it again until it's on the air and it's like been colored and edited and the music choices are none of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Then that really does tell you that you're there to facilitate a specific job and your work's done and now we're going to continue. Whereas a music video, it sounds like this really has your stamp on it.
Oh, totally.
This is really Cole's music video.
Yeah. For the most part, I always just hand off footage. I did this for commercials.
Yeah, for
which
commercials.
Is like good and bad. Like sometimes you're like, all right, like cool, like we're done. Like I don't need to like sit in 5 weeks in post and like deal with you guys. Like it can be good, but you're right in the sense it doesn't allow you to really put your creative stamp on it. And so I think that it just depends on like what you're trying to get out of it. Like there's definitely been spots where I'm like, I want to oversee this. This can be super dope and I want to oversee it. And then they just take it. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. Yeah.
Let's talk about like a little bit more about the preparation process. Okay, so when I do a movie, because I'm shooting for say 15 days or 20 days or whatever the movie budget supports for production days, every day things have been scheduled, scenes have been scheduled. Okay, so as I'm sure you know, and I go through and I think about how am I going to make my 12-hour day and shoot 7 pages, 10 pages, whatever the page count is, and I go through the scenes and I create a shot list. I realize that if perhaps you're doing a performance piece where it's pretty straightforward, you don't really need a shot list. But sometimes you have shot lists, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Now, what does a shot list look like on a music video?
Of course, it varies depending on what the creative is, right? But I did this music video. The first music video I did for LAURA MARANO it told a narrative where this director was directing. It was sort of like super meta and like kind of like mess with your brain.
Yeah.
So in the video, this director who is played by Ken Jeong is directing her first music video.
Okay.
And he's like this idiot director who just thinks he's a hotshot and like gives horrible advice and like doesn't know what he's doing and just sort of like a buffoon, but he's like directing her, right? And so we had to tell a narrative, like there's this whole opening scene where he gives her these funny notes, and there's a progression with like, he realizes if he lets them, her and the dancers like do their own thing, it turns out great, and he keeps trying to interject in it and to like no avail. So, you know, we had very specific narrative moments that we had to capture and like things that we had to do in addition to a bunch of performances. So that one we shot listed like in detail. There's like very specific shots where like, okay, we're going to start on Ken looking at the monitor, watching this, and we're going to push back and like land on them dancing.
Okay.
And so it became very specific. I think what's less clear is sort of how the edit comes together because, you know, in a music video, like stuff in some sense can go anywhere. You know, there's not like this locked script that you have to follow to make it make sense. Yeah. It's a little bit more free form, but you know, my shot list had to involve those story beats.
Because it has a narrative structure, so you have to have some structure, previs of what you want.
Yeah. And even, you know, I think for the stuff that we shot listed out, because there's conversations in there while it's not scripted dialogue, it's like, this is the thing that's going to happen. You know, we had the over mediums and like the two shots, I think listed out very similar to how you would in a feature. Yeah. But it really varies because there's that version and then there's the version where, you know, for Lauren was like a straight performance. So we had like these different colored walls and we're like, okay, we're going to shoot her on Steadicam on the pink wall and then we're going to shoot her on Steadicam on the purple wall.
Okay, so in respect to the performance part of a music video, do you shoot a master for the whole song? Do you go through the whole thing or you're like, I'm only going to use a portion of this? Do you ever do like the whole song in a master?
You know, referred to as a master performance in a music video.
Okay.
Which is like a really good thing to do just so you have something you can always cut to in case you need to fill a hole somewhere. Yeah. Because if you only do like little bits, you know, there's the chance that like there's a little half a bar hole where you don't have anything. You know what I mean?
You gotta have something.
Yeah, and I think so you know, it's good to have a plan in that regard, but like you know, if there's a visual performance that can sustain itself throughout the whole song, because sometimes you'll do like you'll tie colors to choruses or verses, you know, and so one thing might not play, or you know, there's a reveal that happens throughout the music video, so you can't show that performance at the start. So usually like whatever the first performance is, I'll generally run that for a master performance, you know, and also
it's a safety. It's a
safety. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a safety. Just so you have the whole thing. You do like a wide and a tight, and you're like, okay, like that was made for the first verse, but I'm gonna run you through the whole thing, and then it like warms up the artist too, and like you know, it's just not a bad idea to get coverage, right?
Start out easy, right?
Yeah.
And then get more and more specific.
Yeah.
What about storyboards? You ever do those? You ever need them?
Yeah. I'm trying to think when I did storyboards. I think we did storyboards for Katy because that was super complex. It was green screen, a set on a green screen of like this fantasy Candyland kind of a thing. So we were very specific with storyboards on that. I'm trying to think. I feel like I did storyboards recently.
Were they helpful, the storyboards for the Katy's thing?
I never look at them, to be honest.
Well, that's kind of a big thing too. This is kind of why I wanted to ask you, because, you know, directors prepare in different ways. Mm-hmm. Some are very much into storyboards. You know, I've done stuff where I've used storyboards and use them very specifically to show the stunt coordinator or the VFX team or whatever. And then there are times when I've done all these storyboards, and then you're right, I don't even look at them. And I'm like, wow, I spent all this money on storyboards, and I didn't even use them on this one. So every project's different.
I will say that is the benefit. The benefit is to show the heads of the department, like how the scene or thing is going to play out, and get everybody on the same page. Yeah. I use often, like, you know, when we do treatments for music videos, it's a very visual thing. Often there'll be photographs of, like, you know, the wardrobe and the set and like reference videos on things, and that's the tool I use to send to everybody. Yeah. But storyboards, when there's like a bigger crew and a bigger production, have been super helpful in that sense.
That totally makes sense. Yeah.
But then also it's like for the smaller stuff where I've storyboarded and not looked at it, the question is like, if I didn't spend the time deciding each of those, like I just remembered it, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't spend the time to make that shot list, would I be stumbling around on set going, oh, what are we doing next? You know?
Yeah.
So just because I don't look at it on set doesn't mean it didn't have value for me to like construct it and think about it in prep.
For you, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do all these things in this music video, but this one moment has to really sell. It has to be the memorable moment of this music video. Do you try to push that to the beginning of the schedule? Do you try to like schedule it so you don't run out of time to do it? You know, like how do you prepare for like, okay, if I could only show 5 seconds of my music video, this is the thing I'm going to put on my reel. Like how do you determine where you're going to put that in your schedule? I
definitely never put it at the end of the day.
Yeah, never at the end of the day. Never when there's 5 minutes of light left.
Yeah. But also I don't put it, I usually don't put it first. I like to do like a warm-uppy kind of stuff that's like a little inconsequential, but like we'll get the gears flowing, get the artist loose, because that's a big thing.
Good point.
Artists' comfortability and like their performance, it, you know, once they get into the day, they perform a lot better. You know, so you do it off the top, you're not really gonna like get the best thing.
Get the easy stuff first.
Yeah.
Get everybody warmed up, right?
Yeah,
stretched out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But it you know, it depends on so much, because it's like if we're doing natural light or whatever, it's like that might inherently have to be near the end of the day.
Sure.
Potentially last. You know? But it just really depends. But I definitely like think to myself like what the hero moment is and like where are we going to put that in schedule to make sure like not only we make sure we have time to get that, but it's like it's in an appropriate place in relation to the other things that are happening today.
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of times people shoot a lot of what I call shoe leather, shoot it from every angle, and that one page could have easily been a Steadicam shot with 2 people talking, and what they said, it doesn't matter if there's a close-up of the person saying it. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just get and sometimes locations, you get this beautiful location. I remember I shot this one movie, and we shot it somewhere not in New York, but we were trying to make it look like New York. And so we went to New York for 2 days, and we shot a lot of establishers of them walking, but then we did a couple scenes of them talking, and this was a novice mistake I made. I shoot like a master of them sitting on a park bench, but then I shoot super tight, out of focus, beautiful background shots out of focus. I don't even know I'm in New York.
Yeah.
I'm such an idiot. Right?
Yeah.
If you're going to be at a beautiful location, you've gone all the way to New York, you should show New York.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it just,
well, I think
these things are all things we learn as we go down the road.
What you were saying before about just deciding how to transition in and out of scenes and like, thinking about what your sort of like hero moment, or your keyframe is on those scenes, I think that's a thing that comes with experience. It's like once you can nail the dialogue and you have coverage and you can like do these things well, you start to think about these second level, these tertiary things that occupy your brain to do the best job you can. I think for someone who's new is just kind of like, oh God, like I hope I get over is like, I hope that I just have enough to cut a scene together. Not so much thinking about how to transition or like, that kind of stuff comes with experience. And like you just use an example, like if you go to New York,
you need to show it off.
You'll do it, you'll do it a little different.
New York. Well, I have a friend I'm going to have on the podcast who directs Imax films. And he told me recently he said, shooting an Imax film is totally different than a music video or commercial or other things that he's done. He said, some of the rules in Imax is you always shoot low and you shoot like the landscape, you shoot the sky, and people are always in the middle of the frame, small, always. And he goes, you don't do traditional overs. You don't waste IMAX coverage on a super close-up of people's faces. You go for the wides, you tell the story through wides. And now I watched a couple IMAX films since then, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's rules here. With music videos, are there rules? I mean, is it always a rule to keep the camera moving? Is that like a big thing a lot of the time? Or can you get away with a lot of statics?
Well, I think that, statics for a music video are never really good, in my opinion. It's so, like, the whole thing is like kinetic. You're
kinetic, okay.
You're doing, unless there's some specific creative where you want that stillness. But generally speaking, it's a fun 3-minute, like, energetic thing. And so camera movement always helps, I think the rules are changing a little bit as the way we consume music videos change. We're no longer watching them on TV, we're watching them on a computer, or more specifically a phone. Mm-hmm. And I think that it the same kind of effect happens when you look at an IMAX, like how they shoot that because a screen's 70 feet wide, or you look at a phone because the screen is 7 inches or smaller wide. you're going to show different content, you know? And I think that we're slowly transitioning into that. And it really makes a difference. Sometimes I'll be like watching an edit on my computer and I'll just shrink the window down tiny and like look at it on my screen, you know, like 1/20th of the size of the screen. Cause I'm like, this is the size of a phone. This is how people are going to see it. Is stuff big enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ask those kinds of questions because you know that people are consuming them differently. And I think that's been an interesting shift in the past couple of years. Totally
makes sense. Well, thank you so much for talking about all this stuff. Really quickly on closing, aspirations to do other things besides music videos, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I mean the grass is greener on the feature film side.
Yeah.
So that's really where I've been focusing all of my effort.
Sure.
You know, my commercial and music video career is in a good enough place where I continue to work. I have opportunities. I don't need to like chase down, though chasing down does help. You get more work, right? Mm-hmm. But that extra effort has been focused on writing and developing feature script stories to do. So that's been my focus, and that's my goal for sure.
So you get your first feature. What genre is that?
So it's an interesting question because I think that for my first feature, it only makes sense to have it be an extension of my current body of work. Okay. I think, you know,
road trip movie with Katy Perry and Pink.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. No.
I'm just being pragmatic about what someone is going to give me millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do if I develop this like dark crime thriller, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
But they see like this beauty high key stuff on my reel. They're going to be like, well, are you the best fit for this thing? You know?
Totally makes sense.
And so I'm looking at like the long game where I'm like, you know, get a feature under my belt and then I can digress and do other things that interest me, because it's like if I have a feature that is not horrible, that'll give me other opportunities to sort of switch it up and I can explore other themes and genres. So I think, you know, something with, you know, I do tons of movement, I do tons of dance, stuff that is beautiful. A lot of my stuff has like strong female characters, has a bit of humor in it. So all of those, like tonally, I think it would live in that world.
I think it's totally best, especially for your first film, to do something that's comfortable to you.
Absolutely.
Because when you're doing your first film, there's all kinds of new things that are coming at you that you've got to figure out how to do. It's nice to have a bunch of things that are comfortable and organically and are easy for you to make decisions on.
Yeah.
Because you've got a whole bunch of other new stuff that you got to learn how to do. So that's totally, I think.
To limit the variables will only help me do a better job.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. Well, you make the movie. I'll buy the popcorn. We'll watch it. It'll be awesome.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, tell people where they can find you on social media.
I'm most active on Instagram at my name, Cole Walliser. I also have a YouTube channel, which I think is just /Cole Walliser on YouTube. And so I post videos every so often there, but like I'm pretty active on Instagram. And that's kind of my social media of choice for the time being.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. And tune in again. We got more awesome guests coming your way.